Right, hiya, welcome back. Part 14, Project Bash Plate. Thankfully, now this will be the last one with regard to fabrication. All projects that when you're going to make something go through stages. It starts with the planning, and then you've got the actual metal fabrication of making the thing. And once it can be dry built, fitted onto the bike, ready to go, then you can change over to the bodywork inside. I can put all the carnage on the bench away and start stacking all the tools back where they live, and then get the bodywork dealt with. So that's starting to get filler and primer and stuff like that, and actually make the thing look half decent. But at the moment, one more job. Now, I did say I wanted to resist these things, P-clips, but unfortunately they are, without doubt, the best way to connect that bottom underbelly of the bash plate to the bike. It's an 1.25" frame tube, and that's an 1.25" P-clip. And what it does, it's rubber lined. It's not stainless. They didn't have stainless ones, they only had these, so I'll replace them in the future. I know I can get really cool stainless ones where instead of the rubber being this kind of clumsy looking affair like that, they're kind of smoothed in. Actually, they're kind of dipped in rubber, but those are quite difficult to get. I know where I can get them, and I have to send overseas for them. So I'll get those and just replace them, but they'll be the same size. These will do for now, 50p each, job done, up the pipe and clip shop. So what I've got to do is mount these underneath, then drill the 2 holes where they're going to hit the frame or hit the bash plate, and once then I can bolt the whole thing on. So that's the aim today, is to be able to bolt this thing onto the bike fitted so that if you wanted to ride it, you could ride it. Nothing flaps around, nothing moves, it's all secure, it's not touching anywhere, and all therefore the fabrication of everything is done. Wherever the washers need to go, it's just absolutely everything is finished. And once that's done, then like I said, in the next episode, I can move on and start looking at primer and that sort of thing. I've also looked into a few other things. I'm starting to look now, think ahead into finishes, what I'm going to put on the front of it. And I've got a couple of ideas that might work quite well. But for now, P-clips. So I'm just going to take all the relevant bits and pieces like the brace bracket and the horn and stuff off, and the clips and all the tubing, so I can get back to it and start fitting this thing on. Alright, so I'll stick around, stay tuned, see what happens with this one. Alright. For no reason. Right, that's that out of the way. Okay. Right. So it's this section under here working on today. I'm going to try and, it shouldn't be too difficult at all actually, should go in quite nicely. Right, let's get some washers. Right, here we are under the bike. I hope this autofocus stays in. That's it, right. Now, P-clips. The idea of this was that obviously the bash plate will come under, and it comes to about there or so, just to protect this union in this pipe, which is quite important. And the great thing with these P-clips, which is what I like the most, is it goes around the frame like that. And this cable here is quite important piece of wiring. It sits neatly in the web of the P-clip. Let's come back, there we are, right out of the way. So there's the fixing, which will give me a downward fixing. I can just put a nut and bolt through that, and it actually also at the same time avoids any pinchage whatsoever on that cable. It allows it to move, which I quite like. And the other one will just go that size. Now actually I've measured them. The frame is 1.25 inches, and if you look at that, there's a little bit of movement, and I want that. I don't want them absolutely gripping so tight that they're rubbing through. But what I'm going to do is probably pop a little tiny bit of inner tube rubber just around the inside to make a soft grip to it. I don't want it binding right down, because any movement at all will rub through the frame finish in the fullness of time. So I just got them one size bigger. And there we are. That's going to be the 2 fixings. And I've just got to get the bash plate fitted now, so that I know roughly where to drill the hole through, and then I can start getting some fasteners ready to bolt it on. Literally going to bolt this on quite loosely so it moves around a little bit. And I can measure where those P-clips are going to go through. So we're not putting washers in or spacers or anything like that at the minute. Not needed. Just bolting it up to get the feel for it. And also the good thing with these P-clips, where they come here in between the frame, they're actually getting in between the frame and the bash plate, which will give a nice bit of cushion in as well. I'm not going to get any issues at all with it rubbing the frame, which is most important. It really is. There we are. And obviously they'll be plenty movable because they're not effectively bolted solidly to anything. They slide up and down the frame rail. And there we are. Right. Okay. Nice and central. Okay. Now I need also to be able to get in there and grab hold of the nuts inside, as they say. And that's important. So if I go any further back, the engine's going to be in the way. So just testing where that feels best. And then get a pencil in there and mark a little dot. Right, pencil. Let's show you this. Come on, have a look. So as you can see, down in there, that's going to act as a perfect little cushion for the frame and stop it from causing any damage at all, because there's nice rubber thickness there. And inside that torch, you can kind of see all I've got to do is mark. You see to keep that far enough forward so I can get a tool in there and just hold the nut still, because I'm going to put bolt heads facing down, obviously not threads because they'll just rot up, and same as the other side, do them parallel. Right, bit of marking and drilling. Right, that's about right there, I think. Just give myself enough room in the future to get a socket or something like a socket or a ring spanner in there, so I can do them up without faffing around and fouling the engine casing, but far enough back to hold the back of it. Right, and just mark round as that's wedged. There we are. And there we are. Two little dots ready to go. Now they're a little bit out of line that way, but that doesn't matter because the P-clips will slide up and down the frame, so that's no issue. I can just do them parallel. It's that width, that way, that needs to be accurate in from the edge. Right, so that one, which was nearest to me, was the most accurate. I'm just measuring it, make it symmetrical both sides, because that one's just a little bit different. It's about 3mm further in. So that comes to 47 from the edge, and that's 50 from the edge. So we'll go back to 47. Just take that across, and then take a straight line across there, I reckon. You come in from the back. That's a handy 2 inches. And the same that side. Obviously this is just where the pipe clips are loose and weren't accurately placed on the frame, but now at least one matches the other, which is good. Symmetry is good. Good for your OCD if nothing else. And then just get a reasonably accurate cross point. Centre punch. It's nice and light on this. right in the middle. There we are. And one healthy strike. Perfect. And the same the other side. Bear in mind these don't have to be too symmetrical, but it is just good for your OCD if they're in the right place. Perfect. Right. Now, while it's in place, we just drill them out. And some drill bits. Right. All I'm going to do for a minute, not sure on what size fasteners, but the nice thing is to go as big as you can. I'll go through that in a minute. I'm thinking something about that size to go through from underneath, which will be a nice solid fitting. So that is, I reckon we're about, and that's 5mm. Yep, 5mm, so a 6mm hole. And just to be sure, with a 6mm, just test it. 6mm goes through the P-clip, so it will go through the bash plate the same. There we go. Alright, starting to get close now to that final dry fit, which is really enjoyable in any project. Bit of eye protection, covered that last time. Even for the tiniest hole, even just once. As you can see through. Right, 6mm is good enough to go through without a pilot hole. It's only sheet metal. Just got to place it right. It burrs off because it saves in embedding bits of swarf in your dermis. Just seem to spend half my life raking through boxes like this for bolts and fasteners. It's quite nice, got a nut on there as well. For being a vibrating twin, it's got to be possibly a lock nut, which they're all in there somewhere. That'd look quite nice. Right, a little button head. Don't know, keep them handy. Just going to run through. Oh, that's nice. Don't know. Just going to run through and see if I can find two identical matching suitable fasteners for that bottom bit. There is somewhere. And then washers to go with them as well. Right, after much rakeage, that's the kind of candidates. Seem to have loads of these. Don't know what they are. Come from something. But they're kind of cheap, zinc plated, and I just don't think they're going to last long. They look cool, but eliminating them, don't think they'll work. A good old-fashioned bolt is probably the best way. Right, something like that will do the job. But it's, if it ever gets stuck or corroded, that you can just stick a big socket on it and snap the head off if you have to. It's not the end of the world. But I have found these. and they're absolutely gorgeous. Lovely, big fairing bolts, which would have come off a bike at some point. I took the fairing off. And stuff like that's lovely. That's going to look great underneath, nice and flush. And it doesn't matter, because if that gets corroded up, or that gets wrung out, or whatever, because they're not going to go tight. You don't have to do them up tight or anything. You just stick a drill bit in that hole, drill the head off, and there you go. And they're stainless as well, which is nice. Just check them on the magnet. So I'm going to get some nuts for those. There we go. Right. Now that's it. They're the right size nuts. Not nylocks as they should be, but it don't matter. On the final fit, when I put it on the bike to ride it, I'll just put a double Loctite on that. It's exactly the same stuff. That blue plastic that's in a nylock, that was exactly how it will be. I'll just put some Loctite in there so hold them in, because they are too lovely not to use, and they'll polish as well. Nice bit of stainless. Right. Okay, that's got to go on the inside to give that spacing, all important spacing. Okay, now leaving lots of room, just going to attack these little P-clips under here. Ever so simple really. The great thing is this, it's so movable under there, they're just to wherever you need them to be. And there's a little bit of flex, well there's quite a lot of flex in the bash plate, so just flex them into place. There's one. And like I said, they're just literally fairing bolts from probably an old GSXR project I did years ago, and it's great to keep stuff. That's it. I mean, God, that must have been 10 years ago. I took a fairing off a GSXR and made a Street Fighter like you do, and that's the old bolts. I just took a big handful and chucked them all in the box. That's it. Right, all the threads are in place. Now I just need to do them up one at a time, just so that the whole thing draws up square to the bike and fits nice and safe with no rubbish or bonding or binding or chafing, because you know boys, there's nothing worse than chafing. Nuts on there. Nuts on there. Just did those so that I can reach them, and then pop a Allen key underneath, just wind them in, there we go. That's it. That's it. Now obviously this is a dry build, it's just test fit sort of thing. That's it, wind those down. God, look at that. And that's, they just slide under as much as they need to. So this all goes home nice and square. There we are, look at that. Drawn up real. That's it. Tough as old boots. Wonderful. Now there's a little bit of movement on them. Right, let's give you a look. Now a few people have said that these are going to crud up, fill up with muck and road stuff straight away. They are good stainless fasteners, they won't rot, but all I'm going to do, I've got some of these, you know, them little things that go on your handlebar clamp, and they'll just push neatly in the end of each one, and they'll bung it up so you won't get any crap in there at all. Those are a little bit too big on the edge, they come from a bigger fastener, There's a smaller one, that's better. I've got packets of these, I'll get the right ones, there we are. So that's all that'll happen. This will be black, these won't really show much, it's a bit of an accent maybe, but who knows. But that's the solution to them not filling up with crud. And there it is. That is your dry fit or dry build. Just looking down in there, you see the old P-clips. Let's get a torch on it. You can kind of see, I will probably take the trouble to go and get a couple of nylocks, I don't know. It's got to be easier than faffing about with Loctite. But they're not too tight. They're not drawn up tight anyway. They're up to the bike, but they aren't clamped around tight. So what I'll be doing on that on the final fit is put a layer of inner tube rubber around the inside, just to pack them out enough so they're nice and snug, but not done up too tight so that they stay through the frame. But the space around the gappage, which is really important, there it is. That's the gappage all the way up, trying to get you on the camera there, which is important so it doesn't touch the frame. Some of it looks a bit close, like there, but it is there. And it could be that that's just buckled in a little bit, he's dressing out. But what I might possibly do, I've got these today while I was out as well, so what I might possibly do is pack in the back there with just one more washer to bring them out. All that is final fitting and final tuning. But there we go, bash plate, dry fitted. That, as far as I'm concerned, is the finish of fabricating. The actual welding and cutting and grinding and sawing and proper fabrication edge. Just trot that down a bit. You can see up under there. In a minute. That's better. They look absolutely perfect under there. That's the right finish. And in there, I'll just fill them up. What you do is just a smear of grease, fill it up with a blob of grease. Or you can even use Hylamar, that works quite well. A little blob of blue Hylamar in there, it's quite sticky. You just put it in, and when it dries off, you just shave it off with a blade, and you get a little plug of blue Hylamar. I've done that loads of times, it works real well. And when you need to take them out, you just get a pin and you just pick the Hylamar out, because it doesn't set hard, it just goes like a plastic. So that works quite well. So there we are, bash platage. Tough, strong, spaced off the bike by enough so that if it does get hit, it doesn't then damage the bike. But at the same time, still nice and snug, so it looks like it's part of it. Okay, now this little fistful of washers, nuts, bolts, and these caps and so on, that's really important. That's all the fasteners. That's all the fasteners for the job. All stainless, nothing will rot, and all done. So I keep all those secured. Nice and safe. In the meantime, it is time to start the bodywork on this, but not today. So there we are, like I said, actual fabrication over with, done, end X. Now it just needs bodyworking. Now at this point, Mr. Paul Tootle Jr. would probably send this out to paint and powder coat, or phone Nubby to come and get it and make it look fantastic. But I don't do that, this is Delboy's Garage, and Uncle Delboy has to do it. So therefore, that's the next few videos. Now I'm going to sort of chuck this out there now, because I need your advice ever so slightly for any of you that have experience with this. Now there's a product called Plastidip, I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, then have a look. Plastidip is a spray-on latex coating, and if you see these supercars that drive around looking like they've been matte black vinyl wrapped, vehicle wrapping is huge. They just stick sticky back plastic all over the car, and it's great. It's great for advertising, that's where it kind of came from. But this business of matte black wrapping stuff has evolved into something else. There is now a liquid spray-on latex that they spray over the car. Don't prepare it, you don't rub it down, you leave the car immaculate. And what has happened, people who are buying Range Rovers and Lamborghinis and Mercedes and big fast supercars that they're only going to keep for a few years, but they're going to drive the pants off them, what they're going to do is they're going to go and get them latex Plastidip. They get them sprayed in this plastic coating, and it completely envelops the car. It seals it in a soft plastic coating, and it's usually a matte finish. There are metallics, you can do all sorts of things. There are some fantastic ones. There's even a chameleon which kind of changes colour stuff, but that's all very expensive. A lot cheaper than painting. But it's one of those things that's taken off, and I've been watching some videos on it. I learn a lot from YouTube. I learn as much from YouTube as I try and put into it. And I'm thinking that because this Plasti Dip stuff just sprays on and rips off, that I don't probably think anything in that area of the bike, that belly under the front where the front wheel blasts it with grit the whole time, I don't think anything is really going to last unless you galvanise it. And even then, I reckon you'd pepper through it eventually. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to paint it in regular paint. I'm going to do some body work with some filler on it, get the little marks out of it, make it all smooth. That's the next couple of videos. Once it's done, I've just got some satin black paint and I'm just going to paint it with satin black paint. I was going to go with that heat paint, which is very, very tough. But since making that decision, I've changed my mind, purely because it evolves all the time. And I do like the idea of just painting it with a standard matte black paint to give it a nice finish. And when it's a nicely finished part, I'm just going to get some satin black Plasti Dip and spray the whole thing on the front. And the idea of that is that it will give me a finish that when it gets to the point it gets a bit peppered, a bit knackered, I can peel it back, tear it off and put some more on. And I'm wondering whether that might be the right way to go. What do you think? Let me know. That's what it's all about, sharing the love, babies. Okay, that's all for now. I'm going to go in and get this uploaded. This is for Tuesday. Penny pit stops at work. That's why it's been just me, you and a tripod. So I hope you don't mind. Penny's managed to find a buyer for a Harley. So the Harley is now sold. As soon as the deal is concluded, that will be up the road and she's looking for the next thing. Don't know what yet. She doesn't know what. I don't know what. But it won't be something domestic appliance styled, such as our good friend Mr. B's brain dump has said to look at the MT-07. She just ain't into that sort of stuff. They're just domestic appliances, those bikes. You buy them, you ride them for 3 years, they become worth 1,500 quid and you throw them in a shredder. She wants something that's going to, like her Harley has, keep its value. She got her money back for the Harley. In fact, I think she got £50 on top of what she paid for it. This is how Harley Davidsons work, and Triumphs are very much the same. Certainly when you come to looking at the Bonneville range, Scrambler, Thruxton, etc. So I don't know, we're going down that road. Just a little bit of a update for you with that one, because I know I threw it out there in the last video, and that's where we are so far. So she's now got a buyer. The Sportster, the Iron is sold, and it will be replaced hopefully within the next few weeks with something. But poor old Penny, she's a bit confused. She isn't tall enough to have a choice of every bike. She has to have something that fits her as well as something she wants. You know what that's like if you're under 5'6". It really is difficult. Right, there we are. That's all. Enough of that old waffle. I'm off. Take it easy, ride safe. Thanks for watching. This has been number 14. And hopefully for the next one, into the bodywork. See you later. Bye now.